Do you know what it's like to nearly freeze to death in the Arctic? Do you want to know? Does the long dark chill your bones appropriately? Watch on and find out. My name is Thoraxe, and this is Strategy for Busy People. If you've got a few minutes, I'll tell you what to play. We have played quite a few survival crafting games on Strategy for Busy People. In this installment, we're looking at The Long Dark by Hinterland Studio. I've got just under 3 hours in this game. The Long Dark is an interesting survival game because it has a strong story mode in addition to a self-directed, quote-unquote, live as long as you can mode. I started with story mode first because I have generally found that pure, aimless, quote-unquote, just don't die experiences usually don't work well for me. I need some kind of clear direction and goals to keep myself entertained and occupied. Unless the crafting is super interesting in and of itself. And, well, I never really crafted anything in this survival crafting game, but we'll get to that. The story mode starts out ominous and interesting. Your presumed ex-wife visits you and asks you to bush pilot her to a place for a quote-unquote just don't ask type of mission, and for whatever reason you decide to comply. 3 words for you, sir. Idiot. As is to be expected, some horrible calamity befalls you. No spoiler here, the plane crashes. And you are now stuck in the wilderness with nearly no survival gear because, duh, what kind of game would it be if you were able to fill the plane with survival stuff? Anyway, in what also should not really be a surprise, your possible ex-wife is missing and you are totally hammered from the wreck, so your goal in the short term is to just not die. This harrowing experience also serves as an introduction to the game as a kind of tutorial. You are quickly shown that you can stun small rabbits with rocks, and then you can catch, kill, clean, and eat them. An interesting mechanic in this game that becomes instantly obvious to you is that doing these types of activities takes literal game time, and, in what should come as no surprise to anyone who has purchased a game with a snowy wilderness as its banner image in the Steam library, trying not to freeze to death is kind of important. You are lucky enough to have some matches on you that enable you to start fires, and starting fires is not a guaranteed thing like in other survival games. Sometimes the conditions will make it really hard to start a fire, and you might fail. If you fail, you lose some of the supplies that you used to try to create the fire, and as you can see, you have options for what to burn, whether or not to use an accelerant, and so on and so forth. Once the fire is lit, it has a fixed amount of fuel that will only burn for a certain amount of time. Cleaning and preparing a squirrel takes time. Cooking a squirrel takes time. Melting snow and boiling water to sterilize it takes time. If you didn't figure out where this is going, you better make sure that your fire is going to last long enough to perform the actions you want to perform. Otherwise, that fire is going to go out and you'll have to relight it, which will use up your extremely precious supplies. The first time through this beginning story mission, I pretty much died because I didn't think to stop to make a fire, so I lost a ton of health by slowly freezing to death. I decided that already being near death almost immediately was probably not the best way to start this game out, so I tried again, and this time I took a little more, time trying to get out of the area where the plane crashed to follow my maybe ex-wife's trail. That trail leads you to a town that has a creepy blindfolded woman with a gun who nearly kills you, but then tells you some interesting things about what has happened here that set the stage for some major creep factor. But you are so kind and warm-hearted that you decide to help gather supplies for her for the winter. The process of gathering these supplies also introduces you to a few more game mechanics and gives you some goals like repairing clothing and such. At this point, I was really starting to get a taste of how this game was going to go. It was going to go painfully slowly, under constant threat of freezing and death, or possibly being eaten by wolves. I also learned that some of the game mechanics are just strange. I picked up a hatchet, which in any other survival crafting game would be used for felling trees to get lumber, which would make awesome fires. However, in spite of seeing tree stumps and other things, it didn't seem like I could actually use a hatchet to cut down a tree, which made no sense. As far as crafting goes, that's buried in these menus, which are kind of annoying to navigate because, I kid you not, you have to click buttons to select things, even though you already selected them with the mouse button. Like, why can't I just click again or double click or whatever? Even if I was using a controller, this would be annoying. There is a compass menu that you can bring up to get access to various supplies like combat supplies to start stoning rabbits. But this is a bit annoying too, as the icons don't always make sense at first glance, and you can't use the compass to put things away. You have to use the special hotkey for that. Anyway, as I was helping old hag Blindy, I tried to sleep in a bed only to realize that I had run out of calorie stores, but I also didn't have any food on me. And since there was no electricity in this town and it was the middle of the night, I couldn't see anything. It was essentially pitch black, and I couldn't navigate my way out of the bedroom to get downstairs to where I had left some food. So I was literally slowly starving to death and losing help while sleeping 1 hour at a time, hoping the sun would come up. I finally gave in and realized I could use one of my matches to make light to find my way out of the room. In spite of being realistic, I found this wildly annoying, and so I figured maybe I would give the aimless survival mode a chance. After starting that and playing for a short while, even a presumably easy area with lots of resources, I was very quickly freezing to death, nearly out of firewood, and basically having no food. But I had this cool little busted up quote-unquote shelter with a stove. Yay! Then I had to go to bed and attempted to save my game, only to realize that you can't actually save in this endless survival mode, and so I had no idea when my last autosave was or where my game would restore when I played again, so I bailed. Before I give my final verdict, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Agree with me, disagree with me, or want to see other content? Let me know in the comments below. Want to try this game yourself? Check out my humble affiliate link below. And if you want to support me in making more of these videos, become a patron on Patreon. Your support really makes a difference. The final verdict. This game is a real downer. Granted, I was playing on a mostly normal difficulty level, but really surviving in this game is quite rough. It is much harder than any other survival game I've played thus far, and I didn't find this level of misery that rewarding. Maybe if I had played longer and kept things going, I would have gotten over some hump of difficulty that would have made things forever easier, but I didn't get that feeling. On my trademark 3-point score scale of avoid, meh, and I forgot to eat, squirrel is not my favorite meal as they're difficult to catch, don't provide a lot of meat, and frankly don't taste all that good. Or at least I'm assuming squirrels don't taste all that good based on an Andrew Zimmern Bizarre Foods episode in Appalachia. Much like those squirrel stews, the game was meh, so instead I got ready for some real food made on real cooking equipment in a house that had real walls and ceilings and floors with indoor plumbing and no snow.